Hi, thanks so much for tuning in today. My name is Rachel, and I'm the travel industry lead at Nativo. We're a content technology platform that empowers brands to identify, distribute, and measure their content at scale across premium publications on the web. So, I want to talk today about content and the integral role that it plays, especially this year, in transporting potential customers along the travel journey. In this webinar, I'm going to take you through three things. First, we'll talk about the role content plays in our current environment. Next, we'll explore what you can do to make your content work for you during times of uncertainty and beyond. And finally, we'll wrap everything up with where we can go from here. So let's dive in. At the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, we observed a sharp surge in overall content consumption as the world went remote, and more people turned to digital content for information, entertainment, and solace. When we took a deeper dive into travel content consumption specifically, we saw a similar surge in consumption as people looked for a virtual escape from what was happening in the real world. Now, this is nothing new, as we know. DMOs and travel brands have long been utilizing content as a strong tactic for engaging with audiences. And history has shown us that in times of uncertainty, brands that continue to make these connections come out on top, every time. In fact, in 2008, during the financial crisis, a Kantar and BrandZ analysis showed that strong brands who continue to distribute consistent messaging during crises recovered 9 times faster than others. So, even though at this point in the year travel is certainly beginning to pick back up, a vast majority of would-be travelers are still facing travel restrictions and uncertainty over whether it's just too soon to venture back out. But, as our research shows, that doesn't mean they aren't looking for inspiration. That doesn't mean they aren't looking to be transported through content. And that doesn't mean they aren't actively searching for updates and advice on when it'll be safe to travel again and how. According to our data on travel content consumption, it's clear that people are generally receptive to travel content right now. And great content is what's going to help transport people beyond 2020 and inspire them to keep your destination top of mind for when the time is right. Great content is key, but where that content gets placed is also key. At the end of the day, we know that only 6.4% of travelers visit a DMO site before visiting that specific destination. And why is that? There's so much credible information and content on the web, and people are able to find that information everywhere. Social media, trusted writers, publications, you name it. So rather than relying on visitors to find your site's content and pulling them away from these credible, trusted information sources, it's equally, if not more important, to also find your readers wherever they are already organically engaging with content on the web. So, how can you give readers the tools that they need to start thinking about a future trip in a way that's going to inspire, delight, and resonate? And how do you distribute those tools in the most effective and efficient way possible? That's where we can help. As a content technology platform, we've worked with countless travel brands over the years to distribute, amplify, and A/B test content. Through the years of working hands-on with brands across the travel space, we've identified a handful of content best practices that prove effective, time and time again, at inspiring travelers to take that next step. Here are 7 content best practices you can incorporate, starting today, to inspire and connect with your audience effectively, even if they aren't traveling just yet. I want to start out with a seemingly obvious tip. Tell good stories, and do it often. This may sound so simple, but the fact of the matter is that this also means it's just as easily overlooked in the chaos of RFPs and campaign planning and assets and approvals. We see articles all too often that read like heavily branded visitors' guides. While these definitely fill a need from a content perspective, it's important to understand that travelers are not moved by ads. They are moved by stories. Anything overly advertorial in a setting where people expect content won't resonate or linger. On TV, in magazines, on digital publications, people are browsing. They want to be entertained. Use this as an opportunity to tell some of the daring, adventurous, little-known, inspiring, impressive, and unbelievable stories that your destination, no doubt, has to offer. In 2019, Utah Office of Tourism sought out to create some incredible long-form videos that put the culture, the people, the significance of Bears Ears National Monument front and center in the midst of media attention on the monument itself. In this particular video example, they showcase the life of the Navajo tribe that calls Bears Ears home. Despite being more than 2 minutes long, this video was a top performer overall. In 2020, with a focus on more urban destinations, Utah focused on sharing unique spotlight articles like this one, documenting the story of LGBTQ female-owned tattoo shops in Salt Lake City. You'll notice that neither of these examples are a cookie-cutter content churn. They are thoughtful, inspiring, and showcase Utah to would-be travelers in a very compelling and unique way. The next best practice that I want to share is about formats and how they convey your story, and how that in turn can impact engagement. Listicles have taken the world by storm, and there's a good reason for that, especially in the travel space. They're easy to follow, predictable, snackable, and they help readers to contextualize quick-hit pieces of information in a snap. Now, there's a strong case for listicles, but they are by no means the only way to write an article. In our years working with travel brands, we understand that different formats influence different types of engagement, and stories are sometimes better told when custom formatted. Long-form content is often overlooked, but it can really help to dive deep into a narrative and take readers on a journey. Short-form content can tease bigger content and help to drive curiosity and click-through to that landing page or that event or that sign-up that you're looking to drive. Articles with clickable hotspots or slideshows can help readers to travel around your destination virtually. Videos with a narrative arc and subtitles compel longer watch times than your standard 6, 15, or 30-second ad spot. And finally, interactive quizzes and infographics, like these from Mammoth Lakes and San Diego Tourism Authority, promote high time on content by enabling readers to kickstart their own adventure in their destinations. One of the biggest challenges that travel marketers have faced this year is a lack of content. With no new travelers, no creators, no press, no photo shoots, halted video productions, and leaner teams, it's certainly been a grind to even contemplate producing new content right now. But it doesn't have to always be about new content. Sometimes it's about repurposing existing assets that you already have on hand. For instance, do you have user-generated content on social media that you can tap into and ask permission to use? The team at Visit Chattanooga did, and they turned these social media posts into a roundup of the most Instagram-worthy photo spots to visit in Chattanooga this fall. Content can really come from anywhere. Ask yourself also if you have influencer assets and contracts that allow you to repurpose old content, or if you have any strong creator connections that you might be able to collaborate on right now via virtual campaigns. Last but not least, consider reviews that you can use. Some clients of ours have even transformed online reviews of top places within their destinations into articles of things to do, as ranked by real visitors themselves. If there was ever a time to think outside the box and tap into the existing resources you already have on hand, it's now. And doing so may result in some pretty great and relatable content that readers can trust. A big challenge with content is measuring ROI. And while this is certainly a challenge we could spend an entire separate webinar on, have you ever considered measuring effectiveness of content by asking for feedback from your customers in real time? We've seen destinations and travel brands successfully do this by adding polls and interactive elements to the articles themselves. A simple, how likely are you to take a vacation to Oklahoma City, like Visit OKC did here, can give you insight from readers into where their heads are at, who's actually clicking through and reading your content to begin with, and how you might be able to take this information and position future content creation too. Quality imagery is vital to strong content. Content with high quality imagery results in higher time spent on content, slower scroll speeds, higher CTA rates, and higher conversion rates. Ask yourself, as a consumer, can you see yourself and your destination through the visuals you choose? If the imagery is low quality or overly produced or out of touch with what your destination is really like, then the answer is probably no. The right visuals should celebrate your destination's values, whether that's adventure or culture, diversity, food, togetherness, or community, and it should really feel real enough to invite the reader in. North Dakota is one example of a brand that does this exceptionally well. Their images are well produced, but they feel incredibly real. They transport you and give you a feel for the state's culture, its ideal audience, its adventures, and the overall ambiance in a way that pulls you in and piques your curiosity to know more. One of the biggest mistakes travel brands can make is to believe that content production ends once you hit publish. Instead, content should be thought of as a feedback loop. Observe your organic engagement and ask yourself these questions. How long are readers spending with your article? What are they doing next? Are they reading more content on your site or exiting? How are they engaging? Are they scrolling quickly, slowly? Is there a specific part of the article where readers stop to take an action or to leave? And are your headlines and images working? Can you test multiple to see which sticks? Visit Chattanooga actually recently A/B tested a long listicle about outdoor adventures in their destination by exploring a new format. Running the listicle in full and testing it alongside a slideshow that visually shortens their tips into a format that requires less scrolling on the reader's end enables them and us to get a better feel for which format inspires would-be travelers more. Now that you've produced a strong piece of content that's optimized for success, the next question to ask yourself, and the final tip I have to share, is what should your reader do next? Brand engagement doesn't end with the last paragraph. Inspiration combined with a measurable action means content effort and content dollars well spent. Consider whether your articles are set up to drive a follow-up action from engaged readers and travel planners, because different messages inspire different engagement. For instance, in these content examples, Utah Office of Tourism had two clear goals. The first, on the left, inspires readers to visit Utah responsibly as the destination opens back up for tourism. The second, on the right, guides readers to other relevant articles after reading this one to help substantiate their trip planning. At the end of the day, the bottom line is this: people are consuming more content now than ever. We know, and you know, that you have great content and that it's the best way to connect with would-be travelers when times are tough. The next time you're creating new content, keep these 7 tips in mind. Tell good stories and do it often. Consider how formats can drive different forms of engagement. Take your influencer assets, your user-generated content, and your reviews further. Ask for real-time feedback through content. Do not overlook quality imagery. A/B test your content after you hit publish. And always include a strong and clear call to action. Thanks so much for joining me. If you'd like to chat further, you can reach me via email, on Twitter, or on LinkedIn. Thanks again, stay safe, and stay connected.